Troy, what have you seen from, let's just start with Kyshawn George over the past week compared to how he started the season?
I've seen other NBA teams make adjustments with their scouting report and their coverages and how they are guarding Kyshawn George. And so I think that when the season first started, he was seeing a lot of one-on-one coverage, and I think that opposing teams were a little bit taken aback by how aggressive he was with his ball handling and playmaking skills. But now, the teams have got, they got some game film on them, got some tape on them. And so they're throwing double teams. They're hedging, on the pick and roll, trying to force the ball out of his hands earlier. And so, I think that this will be an adjustment period for him. Once you start showing that you have certain skills, then, the NBA, they're very good at, trying to cut your water off. And so, I think that, his season is going to be constantly trying to zig when everybody else is zagging against, his growth and development.
The proof is in the numbers for him that it is started to normalize. This past week, he was only averaging 13.5 points, a little over 3 rebounds and 2 assists. But the thing that's most notable to me, what has been a through line to the entire season to this point for him, has been the fouls. Yeah. That's one thing I think we really need to pay attention to, because in the past week, he had 2 games in which he had 5 fouls. And since the start of the season, 6 of the 8 games he's played in, he's had 5 fouls in.
It is something to note that the fact that, it's, first of all, it's hard to develop if you can't be on the court. And if you're constantly fouling, and then you're putting Brian Keefe in a position where he now has to manage your playing time and when you can go into the games, and it also takes away from his aggressiveness, because I think that one of the things that I love what I've seen from him as far as his growth on the offensive end. But, I love the fact that he's been aggressive on the defensive end, going out there, getting blocks and steals. And so now with him, really not being able to control, his physicality and being able to control, being able to stay on the floor, I think that that's something that he really needs to work on in order to, have his game reach that optimal level.